Hello again. I was not kidding. A lot of thoughts that I've had that I've wanted to turn into videos, but things are just too chaotic right now. And so we're doing this now? Yeah, we're doing this now. Next thing is ideas on unity in terms of socially or sociologically speaking. How do we bring people together? We're people. And that is like a fundamental thing. Like if you're not a person, then, well, I don't have to apologize for you because you don't have no feelings, and that's what defines a person. I guess let's start with that, because a lot of people have qualifications for what they think a person is. My definition, a person is a sentient, or, well, not even, just a thing that is able to have emotional value judgments about the world. They are the primary good thing that adds value to the rest of the universe. Sure, a plant will still exist if there is nothing to touch the plant and see the plant and feel the plant and know the plant and love the plant. The plant still exists, but it's not conceived of as a plant. It just is a part of the universe. It falls into the flow of things. And even then, this particular plant that you're imagining, you may not be touching it, but you thought of it, you had an emotional relation to it. There is nothing that can exist that we also can't conceive of. In vice versa, everything that does not exist, we can't conceive of. We can only build parentheses around it, which is the invention of the number 1 and 0, which is the duality that creates all of numbers and logic and everything else. All right. So, unity. But in the sociological sense, we need to get behind people. They are things that have emotional feelings, and that's what makes them valuable. I do not care how stupid you are. I do not care if all of your emotional feelings are a negative. You are a person, and you should be preserved innately. You add value to the entirety of existence just by existing. You are an expression of love. You are valuable, and I don't have a lot of power personally. Like, I've recorded 3 videos, and then a friend called me and she wanted advice about what's going on in her love life. And now I'm still lying down. Hey, I have innate value, and I gotta do what I can do, and this is what I can do. We gotta do our best. Every day, doing your best is what's gonna lead us forward. And evolving what it means to do your best and all the rest. And that's actually perfectly relevant to the idea of unity. We got to start with the basics of what is a person, what is this. We got to start with philosophical concepts, and then build out more broadly. Because I feel like a lot of people are endorsing or not endorsing a lot of different, very specific positions about economics, trading, and all the rest, because they have grown up in certain philosophical schools that hopefully they haven't questioned, because if they have questioned them and still gone down them, then things are more difficult. But the point is to get them to restructure things from that level. Like, if we're playing a game, chess, and you think the goal of the game is to take the queen, then yeah, that will help you win the game, but that's not the goal of the game. There are many games in chess that you can win without capturing the queen. If you think that the goal of the game of chess is to have one of your pawns promoted, hell yeah, that is going to help you win the game, but that is not how you win the game of chess. All right. I did do a video about like chess and how it relates to the meaning of art and all of that, but neither here nor there. So we need to reframe what our goals are, and moreover, why we have the goals that we have to bring more people to one side. Do I think that this is going to create a left unity party? No. I do think that it's going to do more to bring more people together, which should be valuable. Like, if we have the same values, if we have similar processes of gathering information, the same types of skepticism, the same faiths and trusts, and valuing knowledge in itself, then that will bring people together. And so, do I have a codified list of talking points? No, I don't. And I probably should make one, and I will. But hey, if you have the time to make one, you can start. This is a great thing that you can do. You can have some talk about politics with someone without knowing that you're talking about politics. And why talk about politics? Because it's where things are happening. And it saddens me to say that politics is where things are happening, because things need to be happening lower. We need ground up movement. But the upper is slowing the lower, and I didn't even know there's apparently an uprising that's going on in the Philippines that has been going on for like a decade. It's just not in the news. And what am I supposed to do? I can't fight. I can't speak Filipino. Honestly, I haven't even had the time to read more into it and make sure that I'm 100% behind them. I mean, they're anti-imperialist, they're anti-authoritarian, and that's great, but that isn't, a lot on its own, and a lot of groups claim to be that. I mean, the Communist Party of China claims to be communist or fighting for communism when... all right. So, just some things, though, that can be talked about. Why a person matters. What meaning is. I mean, just having the basic discussions of the three core parts of philosophy of axiology, what's right and wrong in Rye, and really that's the point of having the other two. Any one of these could take the lead spot, so they're interchangeable, and all of them we should look into and be informed on and talk about. So axiology, the two main schools of which are teleology and what's the other one? Deontology. And personally, I think that that's a false dichotomy. Deontology, study of, I think is what the last part means. But it's about there is a thing that you should do, and there are various schools of it. I think that virtue ethics falls into deontology, that there are just some virtues that should be developed because they're right, because they're right, because they're right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And teleology, which is if things result in good outcomes and you have to focus on a primary good, and some people have like a variety of axioms that they attach to that like can't be crossed. Therefore, that is the right thing to do at any given time. I say that it's a false dichotomy because I believe that on the deontological scale, there's only one right thing to do for one person at any given time. And I'm clearly not doing it right now, but there are scales to this. There's only one right thing to do and many wrong things, but some wrong things are more wrong than other things. All right, and we're not going to get to the upper parts unless we climb up the ladder through the lower parts and help each other and strengthen each other to get there. It's not like I'm all of existence. I'm just one part of it, just like you are. But we keep on fighting. Keep on fighting. Hell yeah, I'm going to sit up on this couch. Make one step in the right direction. Here, we're getting character development. All right. Okay, so axiology. That it's a false dichotomy because if you do the right things, which would be based on a proper understanding of reality with attunement to love, capital L love, which I've defined in a prior video and should redefine here as that which creates stability and coherence within one real system. If you follow that capital L love, which also is related to the emotional, like colloquial understanding of love, then you will end up with the right outcomes. And I believe that it is the most expedient route to the most correct universe, the most correct reality. That if everybody does the most right things, which are inherently right, then they will lead to the best reality. And thus, it's also teleological because, if we end up with the most happiness, the most balanced, stable number of people with the most well-being, then we will also find or uphold the correct axioms that support that. And that's what the right thing is. For example, only being violent against people who are being violent towards others when they are being violent, when it's a preventable thing. And honestly, even when it's not a preventable thing, it still should be encouraged. Not being violent towards others in the other hand. Not being violent towards, and I mean controlling too, like giving anybody any orders in terms of somebody who's trying to harm themselves, but also not assisting them in doing so and giving them every opportunity to turn around. Like, that would be the question of, I see my child's about to put their hand on the stove. Should I move their hand away? Yes, because they have a wrong understanding about what's going to proceed. If you explain to them that's going to hurt, it's going to be painful, it will make you cry. And if they can't even understand that much, in that case, you have the right to use force over them. But that's only if you're preventing harm. If people are going to try to hurt themselves, and then no matter what you say, they're not going to listen, then that's their free choice. Like, if they understand what you're saying and they still proceed to want to hurt themselves, that's their free choice. For example, it affected my well-being negatively to be giving my friend that dating advice, because I have a thing that I'm focused on right now, and I've been out all day helping my friends anyhow, and I love them and I want to help them, but that's my choice. That's your choice. As long as it's being freely made that, yes, I'm doing this with the understanding that it's going to result in negative outcomes, and that's where some wiggle room happens. Yeah. Is there a thing that I missed? Oh yeah, no, we just started with axiology, and that's about the study of what we should and shouldn't do. And I gave a couple of examples about what makes a person valuable, about when it is right to assert your power and control over others or not. And talking about punishment and evil people. All right, next one, which you might be argued to be the most important, all of these rely upon each other, is ontology, which is a study of the nature of reality itself. Metaphysics is a huge part of this. When I was a really young kid and I didn't even know about these three major branches, I like to say that I liked to study metaphysics and postulate about that. Because, all of the things are what is. All of what is, I mean, what's the word? Not axiomatically, when it's self-evident that it is, therefore it is. But there can be ontological arguments made that a thing being a thing doesn't necessarily mean it's a thing. And personally, as a non-dualist, I would be one of those people, I mean, in a sense. And non-dualism means, like you might have guessed, dual, two things, not no two things. Apparently there's an Eastern school of Vedantic Hinduism called Advaita, which is very closely related to this. And in fact, all of the Eastern religions or schools of thought about what it means to liberate yourself and become one with the universe. Very helpful stuff. Very helpful stuff. Always worthwhile to read about that if you haven't already. Because we're here in the West. We have Western philosophy. We talk about Descartes and Foucault and all of that, but it's a big world out there. I mean, a friend of mine who's into languages, apparently there's this whole nother... I'm sorry. We're going down the line here. Long story short, it's the study of what is. Onto, I think, just means existence. Or to put? It doesn't matter. I told you what it is. Even if my definition's askew, you've got the heart of what it is. All right. And then the last thing would be epistemology, which is what we are capable of knowing, which is pretty important since, I mean, what's the point of what there is if we can't know about it? And all of the schools of that, of whether it's impossible at all, whether it's like this endless chain of, but how do you know that? But how do you know that? But how do you know that? When do you draw the line? Do you think that there's nothing that you can know? Do you think that your knowledge, all right, I'm going to be real with who's ever listening to this right now. It being very late at night is starting to get to me. All right. You've got the names of the things, and honestly, this was a bit of a diatribe tangent anyway in terms of creating unity, because, I've described three things, all of which could be construed to be the most important thing, but they're really all one thing. They are knowledge. And they also are what is, and they also are what important, and around and around we go. What's that song? And around and around and around and around we go. All right. Was that all? Just, we bring people in by speaking to their hearts. And that's the other thing. Music. Thank you. Thank you. See, if you do the right things happen. If you have a brain that's focused in a certain way, it brings you a certain way. And I'm not a smart guy. I just practice, I guess. I've gone to the place where I need to go for now, and I will continue to go to the place where I need to be for future nows. That music, it's irrational, and there are all these components to it, and it's the music of the people. It's the art of the people, I should say. People aren't like, hey, you should really hit the art gallery. Check out these sculptures that I saw on Instagram. I mean, unless you're in an art school, probably. And yeah, I guess you could say that TV and movies are the art of the people, but there's so many layers to it. Like, does there have to be a plot in movies? I guess in popular television, yes, there's got to be a plot, there's got to be characters, and there's so many different ways to read it. Like, I would say that One Piece is anarchist, and that I could make a very strong case for that. It's not too hard. I'm an anime fan, I should say. But let's say Code Geass. That's another anime. It's an anime where there is an anarchist revolution. Is it anarchist? I don't know. It's anti-authoritarian revolution. And there are so many things wrong with that show, but there's so many things right. Like, I would say that it's very pro-anarchism, but at the end, there is still one monarchy that is far more powerful than other extant monarchies. But when I look at the soul of what it's trying to say, that's how it speaks to me. But when you have that level of ambiguity in your show, then that's not how to bring people together. And, like, the international, the community of man, and all that, that's not going to speak to the people either. If we just start with love, and this time I am talking about love colloquially, if we talk about strength in each other and lifting each other up, and even some of the things, rage at the unfairness that exists, like feeling free and having the musical artists at the forefront be people who are not pulled in by this greater music industry where you gotta be rich, you gotta be famous, gotta do this, you gotta do that, whatever. That's a song, right? I think it is. What's it called? But anti-establishment artists, outside artists, people like me, but more talented. I don't mind being support for other artists, and that's my biggest idea. Yes, I think music has to be at the forefront because that cuts out all the other BS that other arts have. Dancing, too abstract. movies, books, and all that, it has to have a plot. It's can be misinterpreted a lot of ways. Sculpture, painting, I love it a heck of a lot, but it's not gonna pull the people in. Music is the way. The thing that is also going to help is dual power structures. We can't just jump straight to that. This is my thing, which was related to my earlier announcement. That this was going to be the announcement. But it's a work in progress, and I am a weak person. The thing is that we should have a free association of artists that are for equality and unity and love. And like, you've got paints, you've got scraps of cloth, you're able to hold a boom mic, you've got you can transport some snacks to some people who want to make something. That's the kind of community we need. As long as it's a community that has love at its center and whose like focus is on that as a concept, which can go like anywhere. So it's not like we're really tying down artists to any particular idea. Just basically, you can avoid the political label by just saying, by saying the things that fascism needs to exist: anti-hate art, or pro-love art, or art that's about acceptance and tolerance. Yeah, because that's a big part of what love is. In fact, I think that's an essential part of early definition. Love loves all things. Hate, which is just like love that's broken in some way, where you see something else as totally outside of what you love. Love loves hate. Love loves illogical, irrational things that can't exist. Love loves you. Love loves the dirt. Love loves the sky. Love loves the worm. Love loves the devil. The devil can never escape love. They're the symbol of that which always rebels and all the rest. But like, that's the thing. They're a tragic figure because they will fail. And they're even more tragic if you believe that they know that they will fail, because the force of love is unquenchable and unstoppable. And if that's what's at the heart of an artistic movement and people coming together for something as stupid as art, then that will change the world. Like, people need to eat to make art. People need shelter to make art. People need mental and physical well-being. Well, they don't need it to make art, but it certainly helps a heck of a lot. And having love and tolerance for people who don't have mental or physical well-being, or would want more of it, and are struggling for it, or through not having it, our movement would help with that. I'm not sure if this is a thing that exists. If it does, please point me toward it so that I can throw my invisible hat in the ring. I just want to help. And this is what I got in me for now. All right.